For the past 200 years or so, our global economy has been driven by one thing: oil. The places with the most oil have had the most power. The countries that control oil pipelines have had the most money, and the companies who drilled for it have reaped the biggest profits. But now that we're transitioning to a world powered by renewable energy, a new commodity is rising to take oil's place. It's not uranium or natural gas or even solar panels. It's lithium. There are many minerals that go into making an electric vehicle, like iron, nickel, and aluminum. But lithium is special because it's the key ingredient in batteries. And right now, every country wants to be the one supplying them. This rush for lithium is already changing geopolitics. And as more countries get involved, things are going to get a lot more complicated. So here's how the race for lithium is redrawing global power. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of chemistry. Lithium is the lightest metal on the periodic table, and because of its size and electrical conductivity, it makes a really good anode in a battery. What that means is that lithium can be used to store chemical energy. And when it's released, that energy powers stuff like your phone, laptop, TV, and increasingly your car. In particular, lithium-ion batteries are great for transportation because they're really lightweight and efficient. That's why the vast majority of EVs today run on them. The problem is that while lithium is pretty abundant on Earth, actually getting to it isn't easy. Most of the time it's found deep underground in hard rock, and that means mining it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. Today, only a few places do it at commercial scale, which means that controlling this resource gives countries and companies a lot of leverage over the global economy. There are two main ways to extract lithium from these rocks. The first is called brine extraction, and it's used mostly in South America. The second is called hard rock mining, and it's used mostly in Australia. Brine extraction is kind of like fracking. You basically drill down thousands of feet and pump a bunch of water into the ground. That water dissolves some of the lithium, and then you pipe it up to the surface and purify it. Hard rock mining, on the other hand, is more like traditional mining. You drill into the rock and dig out the lithium-rich material. Then you crush it and use chemicals to separate out the lithium. Both methods work fine, but they do have their pros and cons. Hard rock mining, for example, is better because the ore typically has more lithium in it. But brine extraction is better because there's less waste, and you have to rely on rain to replenish the supply. That last part is really important because where you mine, lithium affects how much of it you can extract. Take Chile, for example, the world's second largest producer after Australia. 65% of the world's lithium supply comes from a region in northern Chile called the Lithium Triangle. The Lithium Triangle consists of 3 countries: Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina, and their geology is perfectly suited to brine extraction. So these countries are perfectly suited to produce a lot of lithium, and they were for a long time. But Bolivia and Argentina have fallen behind thanks to a combination of bad policies and corruption. In Bolivia, there are environmental concerns about brine extraction, so production never scaled up. In Argentina, years of corruption and mismanagement drove up costs and scared away investors. Meanwhile, Chile was able to pass environmental protections and attract foreign investment. So today, it's the clear leader in the lithium rush. Australia, on the other hand, has benefited from good geology and good management. Its mines are large-scale and highly efficient. They've also diversified their output, securing them lots of business from major automakers. In fact, Australia produces 50% of the world's lithium, but that doesn't mean they'll always be the dominant supplier. See, Australia is just not very good at adding value to raw materials. They tend to export a lot of it before turning it into something more sophisticated. And that means a lot of the profit from those products gets captured by the countries that do add that value instead of Australia. Take iron ore, for example. Australia is the world's largest exporter, shipping 897 million metric tons in 2021 alone. That same year, China produced 1 billion metric tons of crude steel, the primary use for iron ore. In effect, Australia was fueling China's growth and helping them become the world's largest economy. Lithium is a similar story. China buys 75% of Australia's lithium, and they've been rapidly scaling up domestic production. If they can make enough lithium at home, they won't have to import any at all. That would cut their costs and increase their leverage over the rest of the world. And they're well on their way to doing that. Today, China accounts for nearly half of the world's lithium production. In fact, they're on track to hit 1 million tons per year by 2025, enough to power 2 million EVs. Right now, though, they need lithium just as much as everyone else because they don't have a domestic source. This puts them at the mercy of international suppliers, and that's not a good look for a global superpower. Not to mention, it makes them vulnerable to disruptions like the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, demand for lithium plummeted along with the rest of the economy. But the following year, demand bounced back. But the pandemic slowed down production and created a massive shortage. That's why today, lithium prices are skyrocketing. A metric ton of lithium hydroxide, which is the kind used in batteries, cost $14,000 in 2020. Today, it costs $65,000, over 4 times as much. To make matters worse, lithium is going to be in even higher demand in the future. By 2030, Bloomberg New Energy Outlook estimates that demand will exceed 15 million tons per year, and according to the International Energy Agency, the demand could even reach 30 million tons per year by 2050. That's about 3 times what Australia produces today. So finding new suppliers is critical, which brings us to North America. While the Lithium Triangle and Australia dominate today, North America is poised to be the next big player. The United States, Canada, and Mexico have over 21 million tons of lithium resources. And in terms of production, Canada ranks first, followed by the US, Mexico, Argentina, and Chile. But together, they only account for 5% of the world's lithium. So there's a lot of room to grow. The US has a particularly big opportunity. They've got 2 enormous lithium deposits, the Clayton Valley in Nevada and the Empire Mountains in California. These 2 deposits alone contain 15 million tons of lithium. And the best part is that North American lithium isn't just abundant, it's also high quality. The lithium produced in the Clayton Valley, for example, is extremely concentrated. It's so pure, in fact, that it can be reused over and over again without degrading. The lithium in the Empire Mountains is also extremely high quality. It contains 65% lithium, which is 5 times higher than the global average. Not only that, but North American lithium is also easily accessible. Most of it sits near the surface, so it can be extracted using traditional mining techniques. This means that the US and its allies can produce high-quality lithium fast and at a low cost. It's no wonder then that North American lithium production is growing fast. Between 2020 and 2022, US lithium production increased by 1,000%. The Inflation Reduction Act is only going to speed that growth up. You see, the Inflation Reduction Act includes tax credits for anything related to clean energy. For EVs, that means a credit of $750 per kilowatt hour of battery capacity. This is huge news because it incentivizes automakers to buy North American lithium. Right now, only 25% of the lithium in EVs sold in the US comes from North America. But once this tax credit is rolled out, that number should increase dramatically. So, to sum everything up, lithium is to the 21st century what oil was to the 20th. It's powering our biggest industries and driving geopolitical tensions around the world. Like oil, most of the world's lithium is controlled by a small group of countries. And that gives them a lot of leverage over the rest of us. The good news is that, unlike oil, we have a chance to diversify the supply chain. We can reduce our dependence on foreign suppliers and ensure that lithium doesn't end up being another Middle East problem. All it takes is a little bit of investment. Over the next decade or so, lithium prices will probably remain high. But eventually, production will catch up with demand and prices will fall. Just like oil, cheap lithium will trickle down into everyday products. Cars will get cheaper, phones will last longer, and TVs will be lighter. So yes, the lithium rush is changing the world, but it doesn't have to change it for the worse. That's it for tonight. Thanks for watching.